Yes.
Okay.
Roll your audio. Video.
Video, kill the radio. Video, kill the radio. Yeah. That's going to be like the new intro to the new Not Culture, whatever. Okay, anyway. Ready to start?
I am.
Okay, and in 3, 2. Hey everybody, guess who's back? Back again, Yeah.
Stop, Godfreyman. Stop.
Hey,
Thank you.
Hey, this deserves like some fanfare.
It's
been a while.
I'm sorry.
Can you like
Okay, I'll smile.
just taking it in?
I'll smile.
Sorry, I never answered the question. Guess who's back? Not Culture, the podcast. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Not Culture, the podcast in which we talk about everything and anything except culture. And if any of you have caught on throughout the last 19 episodes that I've been doing, you'll understand that title is completely ironic because that's all we do, and that's all we talk about, and I love it. I like to think of myself as pretty smart for that. But anyway,
Yes.
guess who I have in the studio today?
King.
Or should I say more accurately, guess who barged into my house 2 hours ago and demanded a recording of an episode?
Okay, firstly, that's true. But secondly, I was talking about this for what? 3, 4, 5 weeks?
Yeah.
In advance? So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
had it coming.
Yeah, okay, fair.
He had it coming.
I did. But yes, welcome to the show, Andrew.
Thank you.
Welcome to your second appearance
Yes.
on Not Culture.
Yes,
How are you today?
I am very good. I think I'm very eager to talk about everything and anything in regards to Arts Awareness Month, which is coming up. But I'm also just, a bit sick of a few things. So yeah, it's like
We're gonna dive into those things in this episode.
yeah.
Yep. So in this episode, we're essentially going to break down everything that Mr. Kuliniasi has for March, this coming March, or as the artists of Papua New Guinea know and understand it as Art Awareness Month. And in that month, Andrew is going to do a lot of things, of which he's going to detail in this podcast. But before we get into that, before we get into all the nitty gritty and everything, tell me, how have you been? What have you been up to? What have you been like doing in the shadows? I mean, not really in the shadows, because like most of your stuff is being published now by Focus Marketing Solutions, the really cool team that's pushing all the shows that you're doing, which is really cool. But how have you been, and what have you been up to?
I've been really good. Biggest gig I had this year was performing for the Australian Prime Minister during the state function dinner. The state function dinner. And yeah, I performed a poetry in motion piece. It was great. I performed it with 2 other people, but I wrote it and directed and choreographed it.
Nice.
And yeah, and since then, I just feel like it's just been a good year, but also just a really busy year. And I also think it's a good year for arts and artists in general.
Yeah, totally.
There's a lot of things that are coming up that I feel like I'm critical of, but I'm also like happy that they're coming up, like such as the film competition, the short film competition,
like NFI. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know there are a lot of opportunities for artists just in and around the city, Pom. But it's been this weird year of just trying to understand what your worth is as an artist.
Damn, and it's only February.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're hungry and an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that it does.
Sorry.
Can you not play?
I'm sorry.
Your shitty Facebook dramas on my show?
Sorry. I've been watching Facebook dramas. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm done.
I mean, who has the time to do that? Cut up actual television shows and put them on Facebook. Okay, actually, now that I think about it, it is pretty genius, just getting those shows and, putting it out there for people to consume as they're scrolling, because some people just love those long-form videos. It's a bit much, don't you? No, wait, I'm not going to ask you your thoughts. I already know what you think about them.
We could.
Anyway,
Yeah.
how have you been feeling about this rain that we've been having?
Okay, like, I love the rain personally.
Must be nice.
It puts me in a nice mood in terms of when I want to write or being creative. And also I just have like nostalgia from like washing in the rain. You know what I mean? Like,
What, you don't like washing in the rain anymore?
no, I like it. I'm sorry. Like, I have nostalgia for it because like, oh, I used to do that as a kid, you know, whatever.
Okay, fair, yeah. Okay.
And so it just it's like, hey, this is nice. And then I see my siblings doing that and I'm like, oh, that's cute. Would I? No, because I understand the risks that I'm taking when washing in the rain, just on like getting the flu and stuff like that. But I like the rainy weather. I don't like that it's flooding, and it's flooding really badly.
Yeah,
but,
it's
you know,
flooding everywhere. It
Yeah.
flooded here like 3 times
Oh,
in the last
jeez.
month.
Sorry.
It was great though, because you know what it did? It cleared out all like the rubbish that I have. Don't you dare say it's still dirty.
I'm sorry. It's still dirty.
Fuck. Okay, that's fine. It's okay, but it cleared out most of it. It
Yeah.
was a lot more messy before those 3 floods that happened to clean my house for free. But yeah, that's how I thought the rain was. It was pretty good. I'm terrified of it all the time. Now every time I hear rain, I just sort of wake up, whatever I'm doing. Because the first time it happened, I was playing a video game, and then I like tried to go and get some noodles, and then like I'm splashing around in here, and I'm like, holy shit, there's water. What do I do? And yeah, it reached like my cables and everything, but my cables are plugged and insulated,
Oh,
so
that's
that's
nice.
why I didn't get like electrocuted.
Yeah.
So I lifted them up, and then I did the whole thing.
Yeah.
We have to get the water out.
Yes. Following the way of the water. Sorry, I'm gonna.
I actually haven't seen it.
I haven't either.
I really want to though. It looks really good.
And I've heard good reviews about it.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the first one, and so
At all?
No, I have not.
I mean, you should, even though
Yeah.
it is just blue Pocahontas.
Okay.
It's really actually just a spectacle,
Okay.
and it's nice.
But there's no songs.
Minus the songs.
Oh, I can't get behind that.
But there's always Aldana.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Okay.
kind of a good trade-off, if you ask me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but that's good that you enjoy the rain. I guess.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. Anything else you've been doing?
I don't know. I think I've just been really focusing on, like I said, what my worth is, and like, it's weird because I think people think, oh, he's young, and also, you know, he's, he talks like this, you know, instead of.
Oh, no, I understand that comment,
He
yeah.
sounds like a 12-year-old girl, and he speaks English, and so it's like, But it's really now understanding what my space and my place and what my power is. So I feel empowered moving into 2023.
Nice.
And especially with all the work I'm doing, I'm acknowledging how good I am. Is what it is.
And I think as people, we just don't like to do that very often.
I think, you know, people have a sense of like, society tells you to be humble, and yes, humbleness is really good.
Humility.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Humility, not humbleness. Ugh, ew, me, a writer, getting grammar wrong.
I mean, it's
Anyway.
fine. I fuck up edits all the time. It's cool.
Well, humility, you know, is necessary in some sense. But also, like, I find that when people tell you to be humble, it's so that they can try and control you.
True.
And control a certain narrative of, like, humility, when you identify it with yourself and you correct it with yourself, is much more valuable than somebody telling you to be humble, because then you're thinking, okay, but what does that person want from me, and why does that person want me in this state?
True.
And so I feel that with my work, it's not being like, oh, I'm the best, you know, or whatever. It's going, oh no, I have work, I have professionalism, I have a standard, and if you're not ready to meet my standard or work with me and you get emotional about it, well, like,
There's literally no space for that.
there's no space for that
At all.
because I'm trying to work. And if you don't want to work with me, bye.
Bye. No, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's a good way of thinking about
And
it.
so that's my attitude moving into 2023. As much as it is collaborating and doing a lot of and pushing for artists, it's also just being really critical of what I want,
Yeah.
how I want to grow my career. And sometimes it is good to be humbled, to have humility, and to have understanding and empathy. And other times it's like, no, you have to be a go-getter. You have to be out there. You have to be hustling. And I find that you can't be humble and hustle. It doesn't work.
I think a lot of people just misunderstand what humility is, or just expect humility to be passive.
Yeah.
That's really not what humility is. Like humility, just to me and my understanding of it, is honestly just recognizing what you've done and what other people have done, and knowing that,
and respecting what other people have done.
That's it.
And respecting their space, and respecting that. And I find that within the conversation and in the realm of respect, people like to look at my age. People like to look at how effeminate I am and disregard the work that I've done, and like to pull the age card or pull the experience card, and it's like, okay, that's true, but what have you done? Let's go. If you want to critique my work as an artist, or you want to sort of, why is this therapy? Sorry.
I mean, that's the point of what.
But
if
you want to, critique my work as an artist, or if you want to, say that you have this X amount of experience, I'm going to weigh it against what I'm bringing to the table for this particular project, or for this particular show, or for this particular, even just conversation. And if you still view me in a certain way, whether it be personal or professional, yada, 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 I'm not about that anymore. I really just want to move forward knowing, I think, that as much as I give respect to other people, it's so weird. You either come off as arrogant or you come off as passive, and there's no middle ground.
That's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no in between of that.
Yeah.
In that perception specifically.
In the perception of, and I think, I was having a conversation with my great friend Nadia Paraskos. She's a choreographer, creative, and she owns and runs Dare to Create, which is her own company, a production company.
Nice.
And we were talking about, how do we work and operate in an industry that already doesn't respect you as an artist? And then you add in your own, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, and people like to think that they don't see those lines or those stereotypes, but you're shitting yourself if you're fucking kidding yourself if you don't see them.
I'm pretty sure that people have just grown so accustomed to seeing them that they just convince themselves that they aren't there.
Yeah.
And when people tell them that they are, they just, get yelled at and accused that it's woke culture.
And
I hate that fucking
oh
word,
my god.
honestly.
Oh, I'm gonna go on a tangent.
It's good.
And
it's what the purpose of this is.
Yeah, but it's like,
tangent all you want, Andrew.
No, I think there are certain amounts of woke culture that I'm just not on board with, and I'll say that I'm not on board with those amounts of that, or not amounts, but certain like variations of it. But then I think that like the whole thing is that there's just a lack, like people, like when people say, oh, they want me to be submissive and stuff like that, it's just because they want to keep a certain status quo of the way that they view themselves. And it's a lack of empathy on their part in understanding my situation. And it's like, no, you have to understand me and where I'm coming from. It's like,
what gave you what gives them the impression that you don't already do that?
Yeah.
Like that's my question. Why are they insinuating?
But it's because they also see your difference. They see your difference and they go, oh, you'd never know what it's like to be me. You know what I mean? And I think that
why do they think that? That's my question.
Well, if someone is indifferent to you, right? If someone just doesn't have the same way of thinking and can't find the middle ground, and everything what I've learned from a conservative commentator called Candace Owens, and I consider myself a moderate liberal, but what I've learned from her is that there's nuance in every situation. There's nuance in everything. And so to look at people's labels or what people don't want to label themselves, or, to look at people and judge without understanding nuance is stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just screams... Sorry. Yes, it just screams ignorance to me.
It is ignorance. And
Yep.
sometimes you have to just look at the nuance of a situation, and not only conservatives, but liberals as well. You know, you have to just look at the nuance of a situation and what people are saying, and sometimes look at what the facts of that situation are. I'm not one for alternative facts or stuff like that. Like I don't sit in that.
Like, the fuck is an alternative fact? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
what?
I know. It's like sort of like how people are say. Well, it's like. It's hard to get into, but you know, like punitive facts are like truths that aren't necessarily true. Like, oh, I'm gonna trigger.
What is the point of that?
Like, I'm gonna trigger people, like flat earthers, for example, right? You know, and it's like there's different opinions in that situation, and like people like to say that there's certain scientific evidence for X, Y, or Z and you know, go about it. But then it deviates from what is most popularly known or what is factually true. And also then like with what's factually true comes under a certain amount of correction in terms of like people's what is opinion and what is fact. And then what then in those columns of it move into certain areas or gray areas of no, that's not true. And then that's where people fight because people are like, oh, that's not true, but it is true. It's my personal truth. And it's like, those are conversations that you'll find in Arts Awareness Month with the 3 shows. It's finding middle ground in everything, finding the nuance in everything, because whether you view yourself as someone that is completely on one side of an argument, you can still treat people with respect. You can still treat people with decency. And I think our society just doesn't do that. If you just automatically don't like someone or you perceive them a certain way, you automatically make it harder for them to earn your respect because you're being a biased asshole.
Yep, absolutely. I think building off of that, I think what the entire movement of art activism means, and like this is a personal opinion though.
Art activism.
Art awareness.
Yeah.
Just like yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, art awareness, but I want to talk about art activism too, which I know is sharing the thing with you. But the branching theme of art awareness and projects like these are doing is essentially it's building empathy within a community or a society. It's essentially giving a look behind sorry. It's essentially giving a look behind, hey, you know, this is what is happening on the surface, but behind all that there is just so much more that's happening in people's minds or in people's behaviors, and this is why, and this is how, and this is
I'm so sorry. I was trying to check something else. It's me. Hi. I'm the problem.
It's me. But essentially that's what I was talking about, right? These there stuff like this gives windows into how people operate and act and behave on a daily basis. And it lets you know the stuff that people are going through. And it builds empathy and it fights and combats apathy, which is something that I think any society needs, and I think something that we as a society desperately need.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think building off of that, why don't you talk about what you have planned first? Chronologically speaking.
Yes.
For March.
So
otherwise
chronologically.
known as Arts Awareness Month.
Yes,
please.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I was about to comment on that, but it's okay.
Go, please. Comment. Do it.
Oh, and arts. Okay, so.
Yeah, comment. Go on, Andrew. Do it.
Yeah. Arts Awareness Month as a month is sorry. Focus Marketing Solutions is the producer for Arts Awareness Month, Focus Marketing Solutions. And Christine Papel, shout out to her, love her, is the executive producer on Arts Awareness Month. And Arts Awareness Month is a culmination of performances that are looking to address social issues, 3 of which are shows by me, or plays by me. He is Victor in the first week of March, from the 2nd to the 5th of March. For My Father from the 9th to the 15th of March, or the 16th of March, sorry.
That's his second ever
Yep.
written and directed
Yep.
stage play.
And the latest performance, the latest show that I wrote, which is Letters from Bradley, which is from March, I believe it starts March 16 to the 26th. Yes.
On the weekends of
On the
those.
weekends, only the weekends. So that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the night and in the day, and then sometimes Sunday in the night and Sunday in the day. Also, there'll be performances by Art Activism, PNG, which precede every week of shows. And Art Activism PNG will be putting up their night shows, which is the Wednesday nights before the Thursday, the opening nights. Then you will have also just bunch of other NGOs in the space as well that will be hosting panel discussions with a lot of influential figures in terms of the different issues that these shows cover, and then also with just having setups for informational booths on where to get help about these different issues, or talk about these different issues.
That's fantastic. And all of that stuff is coming up in March.
Yes.
And Andrew, please tell me, where can people get their tickets for something like this? Or for this, specifically, where can people get their tickets?
So you can go to the Focus Marketing page on Facebook, or you can, so it's Focus Marketing Solutions on Facebook, or FMS on Instagram. And then you can go to Ticket Billum. We're selling on Ticket Billum. Ticket Billum is an app you can download from the Play Store and purchase your tickets online. Emailing or messaging through Focus Marketing Solutions will be able to reserve your tickets so that you can pick up on the nights that you'd like to come. Or we'd also, provide, ways in which you could get your tickets to you. Tickets are already on sale. So tickets for He is Victor and Letters from Bradley, so the first and the last show, are 25 kina for students and 50 kina for adults, whereas tickets for My Father are 60 kina, and it's just because For My Father is a smaller show, and it's 60 kina because it's adults only.
Yeah. Understandable. And I will leave all the information on these shows, ticket prices and dates, where you can get them, in the description for this episode. So thank you for sharing that, Andrew.
Thank you.
Now, let's begin the little deep dive process that we wanted to do into each of these shows. Can you tell me, with He is Victor specifically, we did cover that a while back, but I think for the newer audiences to catch up with this episode, I do have a couple questions about it. So mainly the first is, why did you think this was a relevant show to bring back now? It's kind of a stupid question. I can see what you're going to say, but I'd like to hear your opinions about it. Well, as you, the person who wrote and
So
directed.
He is Victor is a story about a young journalist who is basically discovering the death of her brother. She's been living away from the family for a while, and she comes back and her brother's died. Her brother Victor has died, and she is, a young gun-for-hire journalist who's, writing all these really sensationalized stories. And she finds out that there is a story there with her brother's death. And it's a story that it's about, that has themes in regards to family violence, HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis, and LGBTQ rights in the country. And it's like these issues will never not be relevant in our society because there's so much stigma for people in the community, in the LGBTQ plus community, but then also in, the people living with HIV, and also tuberculosis as well. There's so many misconceptions. People still have misconceptions about TB. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease. You get it by breathing. You do not get it by, spit on the ground and it being, it's silly. It's silly, but there shows a lack of education in that area. I say it's silly because I've had the privilege of being educated in that area. And so there's so many misconceptions about TB. There's so many misconceptions about HIV and the LGBTQ plus community. And it causes so much violence. It causes so much hate. And that's why He is Victor is relevant. Plus, there are new scenes now. So, yeah.
Wait, what? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there are new scenes.
Oh my gosh.
So anyone that has watched He is Victor, you'd be surprised. There are new scenes. There are scenes that are more in depth in terms of characters and how they feel. We were talking about, left wing, right wing. And so there's really that argument that comes into play as well. I think a lot of, people with the resurgence of TikTok have been, able to really voice their opinions. And it's like, but there's no common ground to sit and talk about those opinions because everyone thinks you're either one side or the other. And I think with He is Victor, it's a great way to get people in a room and then talk about your opinions and know that in a family, which is your most basic unit of livelihood, right? In terms of your inner circle, your family's there because you live with them, or mostly, especially for teenagers and young Papua New Guineans. It's like your family is where you get your values from, but you also may have different values and opinions from your family. And it's like you need to be able to talk about that. You need to be able to understand nuances in conversation, in getting to know other people. And so many times I think people like to disregard things because they're like, oh, that's my brother, that's my sister. They're not allowed to think like that. Says who? Says who? And I think, but it's also a way for people to get together, have an open conversation, because these issues tear families apart. And it's necessary to have. And with these newer scenes and with Hananiah Gangloff now directing, so I'm not directing any of the shows. I'm very happy about that.
I didn't know that too. Wow.
So with Hananiah Gangloff directing He is Victor, I guess you can expect everything that was there from the first He is Victor, but now a lot more fleshed out and a lot more and commenting about how the media sensationalizes certain issues through that journalist perspective. I think that's not only the media but social media as well, and TikTok and vlogging and
just because that's become so widespread right now because of is that your foot?
Yes, it is.
Sorry. Just because it's become so widespread right now, especially with the,
you have a mosquito on your bagu. Yes, it died. Okay.
Okay, so no, something that was all brilliant. That was all brilliant. Thank you for that insight. I didn't know Hannah and I was doing all of the shows now. So
no, sorry. They have 3 directors.
Oh, there are 3 different ones.
Yes, I should have mentioned that. So
you said all of them.
No, I said
false information.
I didn't say all of them.
Oh my gosh!
Go back to the recording.
The sensationalization of false information.
So Hananiah Gangloff is directing He is Victor. Ziggy Yominau, my partner in crime for everything, is directing For My Father, and Miss Ellen Messabera is directing Letters from Bradley.
Lovely. Yeah. All right, so I just want to continue to zero in on He is Victor right now. Because having the privilege to actually have that show and you on this podcast before to be talked about and to be analyzed, something that I'd like to do right now is ask you the question, you're putting it up for a second time. How are your feelings about it now? Because I remember the first time you were on this show, you were quite nervous about, primarily the critical reception, the cultural reception that this show is going to have and the way people are going to think about it. And you actually went so far as to be worried about how people are actually going to perceive you now, whether they're actually going to be violent against you or towards you in spaces like the theater. And even after that, that's something that I remember you were quite worried about. And with that being in retrospect right now, I guess my question to you is, again, how do you feel about putting it on once more? Do you feel differently? Do you feel more confident about it? Do you feel like it's going to happen again? And how do you think people are going to react to it now compared to as it was released 3 years ago? Yeah.
I think off of the reception of the last time we did it, I feel a bit better. But then it's like, that always worries me, because we did receive death threats. We did receive, and by we, I mean like me. And it's like, ugh, it's annoying. But also, those are still, nothing's really changed in the. I feel like if anything, people's views on subjects like LGBTQ, which is something that's addressed in the show, people are just more vocal about it now because of TikTok, because of their own opinions from looking at Western societies and how that's progressed. And it's like how do sorry, it's just distracting. It's like, how do we just as people just come together? It's still very fresh. Like for me, it's like I'm like, ugh, I don't want to think about it, and I like to think that, the reception of. But I had people after the show come up to me and go, I didn't like that, and I was like, oh, good. I love that you feel that you didn't like that, and you're getting angry at me for putting out something like that, because it shows that you're affected by it. Would you like to go and refund your 60 kina or 50 kina? And none of them did. But you get what I mean. Like, everyone's going to have an opinion. Everyone's going to feel very passionate about their opinion. And for me, I still am a bit worried. I'm a bit more confident now because of the support system of my cast, and who's also the other casts, and Christine Papo of Focus Marketing Solutions, who's really championing Arts Awareness Month. But here's the thing, it will get worse before it gets better. And I think sometimes you need to get knocked in the face to get back up a little stronger. And I've been knocked in the face, a while, for a long time. And so now I'm a bit stronger, and I'm a bit more resilient, and I have a bit more thick skin, and teaching my actors to have a bit more thick skin, teaching my actors how to comment on certain issues, just not to like regulate their views on a subject, but to make sure that they're not being unfair to themselves when they're confronted with hate or when they're confronted with criticism. Do I imagine there's going to be a lot of criticism? Yes. Do I imagine people will be calling me woke, or people will be calling the shows woke or anything like that? Yeah, I do. But for all the, I say this a lot to my cast. I pray about all my shows. Every single show that I've written, whether it be about LGBTQ rights, HIV, death, gender-based violence, I pray about all of them. And for each and every one of them, I pray and I say, okay, God, because I'm a Christian, I say, God, okay, if this is your will, it will happen because it's your will. And so if that's anything to go by, and I've had, 3 successful shows, I'll include Mesoga, but like 3 successful shows, and 1 coming up, and a month of shows that's coming up. And if that's anything to go by, I have nothing to worry about. My God got me. Thank you very much.
Okay, I like that. That's really cool. I like that. Even though I'm not I wouldn't consider myself a Christian, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love how you're just letting that belief take its course. And
I need to be, yeah. And like, because I am a Christian, I need to be confident that what I'm doing is not for my glory, but for a message in spreading love, and for, you're going to roll your eyes at this, but like, for the glory of God, you know what I mean? To further work in that kingdom, and to use my writing in a purposeful way that was meant to honor him, but also for a purpose that's intended for him. So when people think, they look at me and they go, oh, he's a Christian? And I'm like, yes.
That's true. I'm wondering if there are if there's anything that's mutually exclusive of being a Christian.
Like why?
It shouldn't be, right?
Like, oh, so I have to act a certain way.
I can't really say because I'm not an actual Christian.
And exactly, it's like, oh, I have to act a certain way to be a Christian. No, I'm here doing my purpose, what my God wants me to do, and it showed with every single production that I've ever put on. So anyone that wants to come argue and say that it's ungodly or unholy, I'm being it's trending.
It's a really cool song, by the way.
But anyone that to them, I say, I've prayed about all these shows. The only reason it's gone on is because my God let it go on.
That's so cool.
I'm good with this.
I don't think I've ever had someone on the show in my 20-episode run. That's a joke because that's minuscule compared to other podcasts. But I don't think I've had anyone on the show in the 20-episode run to have a religious opinion that I actually agree with. That's pretty cool. That was lovely, Andrew.
Thank you.
I like how you put that.
Thank you.
Nice. No, but it's good to see that there's been a lot of growth. Not so much in you, but mostly in how people have reacted to this. It's good that you've already had the show out for a while, and it's good that people have already said things about it. And I guess the interesting thing now is, what more do people have left to say? I'm really curious to see.
And I think that with the new scenes and stuff, people have a lot to say.
Interesting.
Are
there some chunky scenes that you added? Like, how much of the runtime have you added to it?
I've added probably a good 20 minutes. So it isn't that
What is
chunky.
this, like the director's cut? Jeez.
It isn't that. It's the writer's cut. I mean, Hananiah was looking at me. She was going, if I wanted to add scenes, all my directors, well, not all of them, Ziggy and Hannah have been like, if I wanted to add scenes, you'd write them. And I'm like, yeah. And they go, if you're in a rehearsal and I say, hey, if you can add this line, is that okay? And I'm like, yeah, as long as I know about it and it's didn't change. And the directors for these shows are amazing. And they carry these shows on their back. Like I'm doing less work with the shows and more work about the production and the running of it. And it's because these directors are just so good. And they've become, and Hannah and I specifically, I worked with her when we co-directed the show together. Mm-hmm. And now she's doing it on her own and she's killing it. And the cast mostly are all the same. We do have a few newer people in the cast, but all of them, I think we've retained all of the cast from the original show.
Nice.
And the cast are giving award-winning performances, not only on He Is Victor, but also on For My Father, and now in the latest one with Letters from Bradley. But it's nice because with He Is Victor, some of the cast was 16 and 17 when they were doing this, and this is their first performance. Now they're like, 20, 21, even like, 19, and they're just on the highest level of actor. Gabriel Chalau, who plays Victor, is making me cry every single rehearsal, and it's just because he's so good. And I play Nagi, I play the grandmother in the play, and it's like everyone's been like, how do we make this better, and everyone's been trying to outdo the performance that they did, and everyone's trying to reinvent themselves. And so even like characters that you didn't really see, like the mother, Mary, I'm sorry, but Mary, the mother character, and Arthur, the father character that you didn't really see, now they have extra scenes. Now they have extra oomph, and they're like, okay, how do I make this the meatiest, juiciest part for me? How do I outdo myself? And so they're working, Jasmine Kuliniasi, my sister, plays Mary, and Alan Jonathan plays Arthur, and they're hitting every single note. And fun fact about Here's Victor as well. Tolilaga, who's the journalist in the play that we were talking about earlier, she's the original actress, Grace Papiali. She now reads the news on MTV.
Oh!
Yeah, so she's an actual journalist now.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's like life imitating art. Who wrote that? Who wrote that? Who willed that into existence? Me. But it's pretty cool. And so she's now coming from an actual journalistic background, and she's sort of like commenting on certain stuff that Tolilaga is doing in the play, going, I'd never be able to do that professionally, but I get what this is, and I get, you know what I mean? And it's so cool.
Oh yeah. So I actually had this question like lined up. In terms of coming back to these shows and like putting them on again and seeing their reception from when, especially Here's Victor, particularly since it was put on first and quite a while back, was there anything that you wanted to change in the writing when it came back to these shows? Is there anything that you added or removed or tweaked to make them, I don't know, more relevant, digestible, or just change them? What
It
was
was
that?
really just updating some of the jargon, some of the street lingo, like the slangs, but
Okay.
also updating, instead of a blogger, she's a vlogger. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
TikTok, just adding in stuff like that
Yeah,
that have
okay.
really taken, more cultural prominence in the past 3 years. And so updating even like the news stories that we're using so that they're a lot more fresh in people's minds, and just a bunch of just that in general. And I think it's really interesting. It's pretty interesting seeing how that's moving and how it's stretched the play. There's also new scenes,
Yep.
heavier scenes. Hananaya called. Hananaya Gangloff, who's the director on the show.
Yep.
I'm not directing the 3 shows
That's right,
anymore.
yeah.
There's different directors, and
Mm-hmm.
they're all just carrying those shows on their back. But Hananaya Gangloff, who's directing this show, he is Victor. She called the cast. She's gonna get angry at me, but she called the cast crying, basically going, them with the new scenes. It's the same show, but has a lot more depth, a lot more layers.
No, it's fantastic. It's like you're bringing all these actors back, and all they want to do is just more, and they want to do it better.
Yeah.
And building off of that experience thing that we brought
Yeah.
up, it's like they come from a place now
Yeah.
where they can have more of a perspective on the character.
Like Gabriel
Uh-huh.
Chalau, who plays Victor in the show. He was 16 when we did the show,
Wow.
and when we first did the show, and now he's just so much more experienced as an actor, and is able to reveal different perspective. And I play his grandmother in the show. It's not a spoiler, but hey,
It's a cool fact.
It's a cool fact.
It's, yeah.
So I play his grandmother as a tribute to my grandmothers. So anyway, I just wanted to note that in. I play his grandmother in the show, and it's so cool because it's like this new energy now. We're 2 different people from who we were 3 years ago. Our own relationship and our own friendship is a lot stronger than it was 3 years ago. And now, so when we sit and when we do these scenes, it feels a lot more connected. It feels a lot more intimate because he knows me a lot more. So when I'm singing a song, he's like, I've seen Andrew do that before. When he is, making a joke with me in a scene, it's like I've seen him do that before. I know how to react. It's not this new person that we're both getting used to anymore. It's like we have 3 years of friendship to build off of and build these
Right.
characters. So even though it's a different bond, it's not a friendship. It's like a family bond. It's a grandma and a grandson. It still feels a lot more intimate. And the cast in itself it's the same. We've had 3 years away from it, but we've had 3 years of that apartness still together, still sort of checking up. We're using the original cast group, It's like,
That's it, yeah.
and so it's like every time there's something in relation to He is Victor, we're checking up, or even if it wasn't in relation, it was just, let's chat in this cast group. And so even our backstage crew, they're a lot older. Our youngest, Eva Papel, she was our costumer in the show, and she did a lot of the work for costumes. Well, it was a lot of I'd say assistant costuming, because we were pulling out, Hannah and I, our director, was helping her with the costumes, but now she's old enough to the point where she's like, no, I know what I want for this scene. And so it's nice to see her grow. Our stunt coordinator Azrael Papel as well, we love them. We love all the Papels.
They're great. They're fantastic. Yeah.
Azrael, he's now And, you know, he was 15 and now he's 17. And now he has so many, he has so many more, he has so much more experience in terms of like coordinating a stunt. Which is,
Right.
you know, and you think about it, you still view that person as young, but it's like, no, they have. And so he's like, okay, this is how we can do that. This is how we can do that fight. Hey, what if this fight was coordinated in this way? Make it look more real because he's done that work. And so it's just a bit, it's growth, and it's growth in these young people, you know. And I mean, I'm that young person, you know what I mean? But it's like,
Yep.
it's growth, and it's like having the same team with just a few, you know, exceptions, a few new faces. It's like, it's just adopting them into a family, especially with he is Victor. It's just going, hey, let's all. And Hananiah makes a great matriarch, a great leader. And so she really, all our directors are, but she really carries this on her back.
That's fantastic. I love how you brought up the fact that there are actually new people being brought into the new shows. And I just wanted to touch upon how wonderfully warm and welcoming the theater experience can be to newer people.
Yeah.
Because I think as people who've spent, what, like half of our lives at that
Yeah,
place in the
yeah.
theater, on stage and whatnot, it's always a wonderful thing to have new faces join that little family, and not just to have them on board for whatever the show it is that you'll be doing, but it's also to like see them like 2-3 years later doing another show, and they have that experience.
Yeah.
And then they start to do the thing that you used to do years back, where you start to welcome a new person,
Yeah.
teach them the ropes, and it just becomes so much fun.
Yeah.
And you see that person, you see like these lights in their eyes, and you see them get to understand how cool
Discover
it is to do this thing.
Discover
Yeah.
it for the first time. And that's what really gets me with art, especially here, because it isn't a big thing. When you get somebody new and they discover it for the first time and they catch that little theater bug,
Absolutely.
it just makes it
it's
much better.
It's always something to just be celebrated,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
matter how many people it is and how long these people stay, because it's just so cool. Like it's like you have this like cool favorite thing that's like the coolest thing in the world, and then you show it to someone and they understand how cool and awesome that
Exactly.
thing is. It's just like,
Exactly.
yay, you understand now and you get it, and it's
Yeah.
really cool. And you can't really like vocalize or put into words that experience to other people. It's just
Yeah.
people who have that time and energy to spend in this space. It'll always be something that is
It's special.
Yeah,
It's magic. You
it's
create
special, it's
magic.
magical.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, and that's really cool. That's
and
fantastic.
and it's also because it's intimate. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes.
You have to play people that are in love with each other, fighting with each other, family, and you're not necessarily family, but it becomes intimate.
Yeah, you have to learn how to be, I guess, or how to pretend to be that close, and and when you do so,
And I wouldn't say it's pretending. I never say that acting is pretending, because
yeah.
what acting is it's just living the truth of somebody else
Yeah.
and portraying that truth to the most truthful of your abilities.
Yep.
And so I'd say it's like you're not pretending, you're living a truth for that moment
yeah,
to represent whoever's in the audience. So yeah, or the character.
that's it. It's like stepping into something else that's already been existing, and you're just, doing your small part to bring that to
Yeah,
life.
exactly.
I love it. It's just a wholesome, really nice thing to think about. Whenever I think about acting, it's one of the first things that I
We
think
love
of.
it and we love to see it.
Absolutely. All the time. That's fantastic. But I guess that brings, I don't know, did you want to say anything more about He is Victor? Anything else? Any deep dives? I'm pretty sure I asked you all the things that I was curious about.
Yeah.
But I guess if that's the end of that, we could jump on to discussing your next show.
For my father.
The one that, I was doing a whole intro.
Aha,
Andrew,
go
let me
ahead,
do
go ahead,
the
go
intro.
ahead, go ahead. Go ahead to do the
Yes.
intro.
So we can jump into discussing your next show, which premiered, what is it, towards the end of last year.
September.
If I'm not mistaken, around September, entitled For My Father. Which, my gosh, for me, as an audience member, and I wasn't even technically an audience member. Like, I came to do those promotional photos, and I managed to get an incredible seat of the entire show. Oh gosh, it was just for me, in there, it was an incredible experience that I really, like in all my years of theater, I really haven't seen something particularly like that. And I thought that it just blew my mind. So, Andrew, could you tell all of our listeners, all of our fine people watching, can you tell us what is For My Father?
So For My Father is the second play for Arts Awareness Month that will be taking... Oh, that is... Sorry. That's my medicine alarm.
Do you have
Sorry.
to take your medicine?
No, it's okay.
Are you sure? You can take it now. It's quick.
No, I don't want to. Okay, sorry.
We do not endorse this kind of behavior.
No, yeah.
If
Take
you
your
have
medicine.
medication,
Take your medicine
you
on
should
time.
always take it on time.
Take your medicine.
Listen to what your primary physician tells you.
Yes.
Just your doctors know what they
Yes.
are doing.
Yes.
Okay. But you were saying.
I'm such a bad influence. Anyway,
You
so
are.
For My Father is the second play in Arts Awareness Month, and that will be premiering from the 9th to the 16th of March. And For My Father is a story about a Papua New Guinean family who loses their dad. Their dad passes away, and all the children are left to deal with his last wishes and his house cry and his funeral. They're poor. But their eldest brother, who is their half brother, who lives in Brisbane in Australia, is well off,
Yep.
has all the money to take care of their dad's expenses for, funeral costs and all that stuff. And he comes back hearing that his dad is dead, and they all try to not convince him to pay for the father's funeral expenses and the cost of death. But he was the most neglected by the dad. And it's really coming to terms with some of the trauma that they all face from the dad. And it asks the question, okay, if someone is a bad person in life, why should I mourn them in death? But then also looks at our cultural obligations of families that we put on death in this country, like house cries, repatriation of a body back to the villages or a province,
Yep.
and the cost of that.
Right.
And not only the cost money wise, but also the emotional cost of that.
That's that. Well, just wow. First of all, I really don't think we've had a show, at least a current show, that takes themes like that so on point and puts them onto a stage. So first I just really want to commend you
Thank you.
for putting up a show like that. And to my understanding, so this show went up first, the first ever showing, it went up in September. And right now it's just seeing a comeback. So I have a question. I mean, how weird is that for you that this show came out quite recently and you're putting it back? Because like from our conversation about He Is Victor, there was so much more gained in the
3 years away.
Yeah, in the absence of the actors from these characters. Is there, I guess I could ask those same questions, but just in different contexts. Like, for example, what's different now than when it first premiered?
I think it's how I wish I had Ziggy
That's right.
as the director.
He was supposed to join us today,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he didn't show up.
And I don't want to share his story because he has a very personal story in terms of how it's changed his view in doing For My Father.
Fair.
But I can say, and I hope that he does find it in himself in one of these interviews and in some of the media to tell that story, because when he came back with it and when we found out we were doing it again, it was really emotional, I think, for everybody, but especially for him. And he's like all our directors, he is just carrying this flag and waving it around and, advocating very heavily for people to come watch the show, which is a heavy show. It's 40 minutes, but you're trapped. It's theater in the round, which is different from the other two shows. There are only 60 seats. You're sitting in their living room of their house and watching this family fight. And Ziggy does such an amazing job of making people human and also but giving logic to why people act certain ways, even if you don't have that perspective. Ziggy can put himself in. I talk so highly of him. He should be here. But Ziggy can put himself in those shoes and tell you as an actor what you need to be doing. And I think, saying what's changed, it really feels, because we only did this like 3 months ago, 4 months ago. But then coming back in rehearsals, we're like finding new ways to do certain things. And especially with Ziggy steering the ship, he's like, oh, I want it to be different. And I want that line to be said differently. And so people that are coming to watch, are they watching a different show? Yes. I think time really affects the way that we want to do stuff. And we're going a lot harder, which is probably a good thing or a bad thing for anyone that has watched the show before, because it's like we're going harder, and we had people come out of that show crying buckets, not wanting to talk to us afterwards, not wanting to talk to the people that they came with afterwards. People were an emotional wreck. And now that we're going just a little bit harder on themes, on fight scenes, on scenes, For My Father is the only show that's rated M18. It's the only show that kids aren't allowed to, because it's so gritty. It's so raw. And nothing that we're doing is to shock.
Right.
It's the truth. And I like that even as a cast, we're rediscovering how to do this. But I think also as actors, it's given us a lot more of a challenge, because we haven't had the time to really reinvent it, because it feels so fresh in our bodies. Like all my lines, I'm in the show as well, and all my lines I'm still saying the same. And Ziggy's like, no, don't do that. Reinvent it. Rework it. I want you to wear something else instead of that costume. And so it's the same show, I think, in story, but it's different in execution. And I think you'll be surprised coming to it. There are a few new lines, there are a few new things that will be said that you're sort of like, oh, that I didn't hear that before, if you remember that much of the show. But I think it's also the fact that it's such a powerful and relevant play. It's a little more relevant, I think, because death happens every day.
True.
And these situations happen every day. And families fighting during death is, oh my gosh, it's so common. Not even in a PNG context, even in a Western context. Families fight over death. And yeah, there's so much to unpack there. But the cast is amazing. The cast is doing the most right now. They're like,
nice.
And it's a small cast. There's 5 of us. And so we're all it's super easy to get back in the groove of feeling like a family. It's weird because I think I go from playing like a grandma to playing like a sibling, right?
Yep.
I should probably give it away, but
no, don't give it away. Okay. My gosh.
I go from playing a grandmother to playing like the eldest sibling, and it is a different jump because it is a different character, but it's also like everyone's putting in their 100% for this show, and the fact that it's smaller in scale shouldn't be a reason for you not to see it, or sorry, whoever's listening, not to see it, because oh my gosh, like their performances that are amazing in He is Victor and Letters from Bradley, but the performances I think in For My Father, because you're so close to it, you're literally sitting centimeters away from an actor.
Yep.
It's so much more in your face. It's so much more engaging, and I think having that experience as a first time theater goer is probably Just
I'm
a
so
little
jealous of those
Yeah.
people. If For My Father is the first show that you're ever gonna go see, as a first stage production, I use that loosely. I would just be so jealous of that. Because
Yeah.
it's, as someone, like, you've heard me say this before, but Andrew and I have spent years, like over a decade, at this theater, living this sort of life. And when something this different comes along, it's gonna stick. And it
Yeah.
has stuck in my brain for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I think
Because of the way it's staged, because of the way.
I think,
yeah.
I mean, it's the nuance of that as well, but it's as much the content as well as the mechanism of delivery for that content. As someone who's so used to seeing shows on stage, something like this comes along, it's so different, and it's all I can think about now. I'm like, as just someone who consumes a lot of art and content, I'm always a fan when people try to blend these different kinds of methods of getting points across, because like in a lot of media and a lot of art and a lot of stories, these stories have been told over and over, millions and millions of times. The only different thing between them and what makes them truly unique is how they're told. And that is, in essence, the whole thing. That's the whole shtick of storytelling. It's not the story, it's how it's told. And I think that's why I really, really loved For My Father. Even though there's a rat in my, sorry. It was over there. It was crawling over my...
That was near me. That was near me.
It's like this big. It's like as big as my...
Oh, that's a mouse then, Godfreyman.
It's a baby rat.
Mouse.
So as I was saying, yeah, when things like this come along, it's just so different, and it sticks, and it's stuck in my head. And for all of the shows I've seen by you, I'll just say Letters from Bradley has very big shoes to fill.
And they will fill it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, fair.
Letters from Bradley.
Yep.
In the audition.
Wait, are we done?
Are we done talking about? Are we done talking
For My
about?
Father?
I mean, if you want, did you have any more questions?
Well, I wanted to. I think just one specific one. It's almost like the way that. Well, I've already asked this, where it's how time and the distance between performances informs performances even more. But it's almost the same question that I asked with He's Victor, with the reception of that. I've never really talked about how people in the long run have talked about For My Father. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, you just told me that, yeah, they walked out crying and they didn't want to speak.
Yeah.
But after they went home and after they, let the tears subside and they understood more about how...
Sorry, that's mine.
I
That's
thought it
me.
was a mouse.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just wondering how after a while, did you get any feedback for My Father from a while after? What did people say? How did people think about it? I'm curious.
Yeah. Well,
that's my favorite show so far.
Yeah. Our review. Oh, okay. Your favorite show so far. I like it.
How many ways can I say that without even saying it?
I think you can see some of the feedback in our reviews on the Focus Marketing Solutions Facebook and Instagram page. Mm-hmm. And so if you're looking for that exclusive content, you can see some of the reviews for both He Is Victor, but also For My Father, which is more recent. It's interesting. It's interesting because I think For My Father, people, expatriates, Papua New Guineans, came in and just related because death is an everyday thing. And then they, the messages that came in were obviously, praise, but it was the fact that it's sort of that death is inevitable. Mm-hmm. And in some capacity, everyone has to deal with how they grieve.
Yep.
About whether it be your father or whether it be about someone that, you love and what can ensue with that. And, I don't know. It's like the casts have these running jokes. All of the casts. Uh-huh. They have these running jokes of going, what's the saddest thing that happens? They always ask me, what's the saddest thing that happens?
Like whenever you hand them a new script or something.
Yeah.
Oh, what's going to happen?
So that they know what's going to make people cry the most.
Okay.
And I think, with For My Father, it was just everything. He Is Victor, there were a few points that people were like crying their eyes out. But with For My Father, because there's no breaks in that show. It's 40 minutes, and for if anyone that's wondering, there's a break between the first act and the second act, and he is Victor. But because For My Father is 40 minutes, you just sit there the whole time and you just watch this.
It is non-stop.
Yeah, it's non-stop. It doesn't let up. And because of that, I think it just got a more visceral reaction from people. And so then the messages that came in were just so, I don't know, like, it was like people that were messaging were finding it hard to message it because it was like you could tell that they were crying through their typing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And even like going out after the show or asking people now, they don't know how to really put it in words because it's their family, because it's their experience. And death is a very personal experience.
True.
But I think the characters are what people kept walking away with. The fact that there were so many different characters in this family, they weren't all the same. They weren't all wanting to do the right thing or trying to do the right thing but doing it in the wrong way. There were people that were, underprivileged, privileged, and just the different spectrum of these 5 characters that you work with and that you see was able to represent different people in the audience and represents, I think, every demographic. I don't want to toot my own horn like that.
No, yeah.
But I think it really represented a wider demographic of people.
It's true. I think in terms of, the artist in you were able to do that thing where you were able to put a lot of representation for different kinds of people in a family unit. And not every family is like that, yeah, obviously. But, just for the purposes of the storytelling, I think it was a really smart move. You covered a lot of bases. And,
Thank you.
When people don't even really think about it, it just flies over their heads.
Yeah.
Because when you put that dynamic, as long as they function well with each other, under that banner of being a family, it's like people don't really question it as long as they have that chemistry. And I think it goes back to, finding the performers who can really bring those characters to life, and which you did. Like, honestly, I remember trying to come up with criticisms for this show, and I just could not.
Thank you.
Because it blew me away in so many different ways. I really can't think of anything bad to say about it. Like, I'll probably, I don't know, just nitpick it to just be fair, because I'd like to be I like to be critical of things. But no, it's just, I cannot praise the show enough for what it did. And I cannot wait to come and see it, and I will be coming to see it because I'll actually be an audience member this time. Because as I stated, I went to see the first time the show was airing. Before, technically, its opening night. Yeah, right before. And I was doing just the promotional photography. And I like how you told me nothing about how it was technically already in the round. Yeah, it was in the round.
Because it also
I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah, and it also just depends on where you sit.
That's it.
If you sit in a certain location in the show, you'll only get one character's perspective.
That's it.
You'll only get one character's viewpoint.
Which is like it should be. And if anyone's been in theater as long as like he and I know I keep saying that, and I'm sorry, but I just really want to like put a pin on it and point on it. It's like it's sacrilegious to theater if you do it like that.
Yeah.
But something like this, the rebel in me is just like, fuck yeah. That is so cool.
Yeah.
It's like you can go so many times and you'll get a different experience.
Exactly.
Which that entire thought process.
Yeah.
Never done in theater.
Just to give a visual, think about the stage. So to our audience, think about the stage not being in one section and then everyone facing the stage. The stage is in the middle and the audience is all around it. That's what we mean by theater in the round.
Essentially.
And so where you sit coming into the show, you'll get a totally different perspective because you're looking at a character's reaction or looking at the character in their entirety when they're saying something, and you see it more from their viewpoint than you would the character that's giving their back towards you or the character that's on the other side of the room. You may hear some audience on the other side laugh when there's something serious going on the other side of the stage,
right?
And so it's really like a matter of like it's an experience.
It is.
And
it is.
Is it an experience you'd like to go through again and again? I think so. But if you're going through it again and again, bring a friend so that you can cry again and again, and it'll be great.
Yeah, as a fan of like a lot of different kinds of art that hurts me, you know, I just keep saying this, but I just love this show.
Thank you.
And like just thinking about it from the performer's perspective, there's so many rules as like if you've never been on stage. Yeah, there's so many rules that you have to follow in order to deliver a performance on a regular theater stage. With something like this, I'd say it's more akin to how you would block a scene when you're shooting a movie, except it's like it's half in, half out, both of those worlds, where on one side you'd like act out a scene as if there were a camera on you, but the other side of that is you just keep going. Nobody yells cut until everyone claps and leaves the room. And that's it's a like for me in my brain, that's such an interesting fusion of those two methodologies of storytelling.
It's a testament to the cast and the way they work. Like, oh my God, they're so good. I mean, I'm like excluding myself in that conversation.
It's okay, you can. It's fine.
Thank you. But Noel Kavora, Emmanuel Simeon, Daniel Romney, and Hananiah Gangloff are some of the most switched on actors. Like, and the thing is that when we were doing For My Father, the note to Ziggy was that you can't rest. I mean, not to Ziggy, from Ziggy. The note from Ziggy was you can't rest. Everywhere you turn, there's an eye on you. There's somebody watching you. So you better give the performance of your fucking life. And I think it really helped. And that was the first time for any of us doing that. That was the first time any of us did that. And so when we started moving in the space and remembering that we had to give a performance to that person and give a different one to that person, give a smile to that person, but an angry look to that person, it really did heighten our performances. And because I think we have the benefit of having a small cast, that we're very in sync. There's not a lot of moving parts because there's just 5 people.
That's it.
Yeah, but that being said, it's like the amount of work that we do in that 40 minutes is just award worthy.
It's so tight. It's so concentrated. It's like this is like a shot of whiskey if it was a show. It's so small and so enjoyable no matter how you look at it. Sorry, I'm just trying to
a bit impactful, a bit like
I think very
negative,
impactful.
but like I'm not negative, but you know what I mean. Like the side effects are real.
Like you'll feel this tomorrow when you stop, like, you know, crying about it and get taken home. This I feel like a lot of parallels to whiskey right now.
But
interesting. But I think that wraps up everything I wanted to ask you. Is there anything you just want to throw on in?
I think, and I just want to say this on behalf of him. I think, you know, I shared about Hananiah and how she, you know, cried about the script.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. Just speaking of Hananiah, I just want to say, I told her this after that night when I saw, like, I was making sure that she was far away from anyone else, but I told her that she was my favorite one.
I think she was
absolutely.
She was the favorite. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
She blows it out of the fucking water and she's incredible.
And it's like, in the first few minutes of the show, like the first 10 maybe 15 minutes, she doesn't have that many lines. It's her face, it's her action, it's the little movement, it's her active listening
100%.
in the show.
100%.
She's directing Here's Victor, but she has no idea what a freaking phenomenal actor she is. She is top tier. When I think about actresses, I think her, because she gives some of the most subtle, nuanced, and then when she wants to go big, she knocks it out of the park. And honestly, a lot of people did come up and say, yeah, Hannah was our favorite. And she does so good. And she's the only woman in the show, you know, and she really represents, I think, that female perspective on death. It's like, oh, you marry her, so you have to go look after the kitchen, go make tea during the house cry, you know, go cook the food, make sure the food's ready for the guys that are coming, for the mourners, for the boys, for your family. And she really does represent, I think, PNG women in a way that's that's different from something like Tolilaga. That's different from Tolilaga in He is Victor, where Tolilaga is this very forward-thinking, go-getting, like, I'm going to get my money journalist, right? Yep. Whereas Hananiah, or Anita, her character in For My Father, is just very, very limited by the conditions of their culture.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. And so she does a great job with that, but also representing, just a woman that's strong. I think she has such
which
a
is
good
like
way.
the tying thing between both of those characters.
Yeah.
It's just how they display
that strength. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Who wrote this?
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. But I have great female like role models to pull from. I have both my grandmothers, both my mothers, my stepmom, and my biological mom, and I have 3 sisters. And so all of them, like, the female characters in these shows are really just compressed versions of my female family members. And so it's really, it's nice when someone compliments, because as a man, I don't really, like, sometimes I'm like, oh, am I writing this character from the correct perspective? Especially with writing female characters. It's sometimes hard for me to put myself and place myself in that situation because I have the privilege of being a man in this country. However small that privilege is because I'm effeminate. But it's really interesting when somebody, I get really thankful when somebody compliments me on a female character or says, something good about the writing, especially on an actor. When an actor tells me, yeah, no, I relate to this so much, it makes me feel good. It makes me go, okay, thank you. At least I can represent in the writing that perspective well.
No, yeah, and I'm assuming all of that will also reflect in the audience and how they feel towards it. It just works as sort of this, how can I say? I don't know, an antenna that sort of just radiates out to the people who start to consume this content. It just, if it reaches them, you know that you've done a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it shows that you're in the right direction.
Yeah, thank you.
I like that.
Thank you, Tonga.
Lovely. So I guess that wraps up our little discussion about letters from Brad.
For my father. Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to understand the confusion with the names.
Yeah, actually.
But speaking of Letters from Bradley, which is the show that I know almost nothing about. And it's the one I'm most anticipated to see. Anticipated to see? And it's the one I'm most anticipating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Letters from Bradley is going to take place from the 16th of March to the 26th of March on those weekends.
Yep, on the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah, tickets for Letters from Bradley are 25 kina and 50 kina. Letters from Bradley follows the story of 2 men, both of them named Bradley, as they try to navigate their relationships with their partners and their own violent behavior towards their partners' relationships, towards their relationships with their partners. And one of the cast members told me this, so I'm not, blowing my own horn or anything, but they said it was like if Christopher Nolan wrote social commentary, like dramas.
Interesting. That's high praise.
Yeah, it is. It was really high praise.
I mean, not for me, because I really don't think Nolan's that much of a big deal. I mean,
but
I did like Dunkirk.
It's like,
and Inception. Inception is probably my favorite fucking movie.
Well, they said it was like Inception, because.
God damn it, Andrew.
Well, and I'm not saying that because, like, you said it. I'm saying they said it was like Inception because I don't want to give anything away, but there are 3 timelines in this play.
Okay, yeah, so, I mean, try not to give away as much.
I don't think I'm giving, but I think it's good to set up what people will expect, because if For My Father is a different experience because of the staging and the way it's done and the way it's executed, Letters from Bradley is the same, exactly the same. It's done on stage, right? But the way in which it's done, where we're juggling 3 timelines, where it's, I think people are going to be really, really surprised, because I don't know if there's a play like this.
Interesting.
And I mean, yes, the message is important, but I think it's just so it's so entertaining to watch because you're just looking at how things are unfolding, and it's an interesting way in which it's unfolding. Is the rat there?
No, there's a child throwing my stuff around outside.
Oh, it's hard to talk about Letters from Bradley without giving anything away.
Fair. I think what you've already said is like enough and too
Yeah.
much, honestly.
Oh no, and I want to keep talking. I just think, the cast, most of them are new.
Yeah.
Of course, it's like a new baby, and but it's like a new baby, but I'm
Just like a baby.
yeah, it's like a newborn baby, but I'm the nanny, not the mom,
Interesting way to put it. How so and why?
because Ellen Messabera is the director of the show.
Oh, yes.
So I'm not directing it, and it's sort of like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what the proper word is. It's like trying to just give enough space so that I can let her and trust her to do the work and trust her to tell the story. And I think, for me as a professional as well, at the start of it, I talked about, respect, but it's also respecting other people's space, especially when you do give them a job.
Yep.
But then also knowing where your rights are as a creative and as the writer and producer. And I think it's really interesting because Ellen has a very different way of directing in style. Not style, sorry, in discipline. Oh my gosh,
Interesting.
that cast is getting whipped. Like the cast is like getting drilled to just be like, I think because of the other shows, it was done sort of voluntarily that when we did He Is Victor, and for My Father, even though it was a professional production, there were only 5 of us. It was easy to control. There's 22 members of cast in Letters from Bradley, and all of them are new, and all of them are, this is their first time, but it's on a
Jeez.
professional production. It's not on a voluntary. This isn't, we're paying everybody to do this. And so Ellen takes her job really seriously, and the cast is just getting like show up on time. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
And
As someone who's like been to a lot of these rehearsals where like people don't really take it as seriously as they should.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be me if I were to
Yeah.
direct something. Because I
Yeah.
swear to God, I have zero patience for that shit.
Oh yeah. And I feel like as a director, I've gained more patience for it.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm
Okay.
no longer like screaming at cast members or, I'm no longer doing that anymore.
Why not? It's fun.
It is, but it's like I'm a better person. Growth.
I mean, less screaming doesn't mean better person.
Yeah. I now just talk very directly. I was like, I'll fire you. This is how you're
Okay,
going
yeah,
to
yeah,
act.
I respect that. Okay.
But it's more so that Ellen is just such a great creative when it comes to the technique
Okay.
and the disciplines and the way in which to conduct yourself on a set
Yep.
of a play. And that's something that this cast is going to get, I think, a little more than our other directors. Ziggy and Hannah and I are both brilliant directors, but they're both very young. And this is them coming into the industry, I think, just with just a few years of experience. Ellen has 20 years of experience. And so that amount of experience also means that the work ethic in that show is, it's off the hook. But also, I think the way that she's started to direct and her vision of it is something that I've left and I feel a bit good about. It's like, I don't have to worry about that show. I don't have to worry about any of the shows, but even though this is the newest show, I don't have to worry about it.
Fair.
My vision's being taken care of, and it's being crafted masterfully by a great director. With the cast, we were in auditions and we cried. It took us 2-3 months to cast the show.
Damn.
That's how sad, heavy, energetic, this cast is, but also the show in itself is. The cast is amazing. We have, veteran actors like Jacob Elave, Travis Ellison, and I think Noel Cavora, who played
coming back.
Michael,
Yes.
he plays Bradley.
Uh-huh.
And it's so interesting because it's like that it was his first time with For My Father, and what a show for it to be your first time with. And then now you're playing the lead in this other show where the role is so demanding. It's just it's hard to, it's a lot of pressure on him and a lot of pressure on everybody because they're all new. But, even our first time actors like Lana Monagi, Vagiriki Dixon, they're just giving amazing, subtle performances. I'm crying in the rehearsals,
Damn.
Remy Combang, she plays Amy, who's one of the Bradley's girlfriend. And Talita Kove, she's a very experienced actor. She's Rodney Kove, who's a very prominent playwright, Rodney Kove's daughter. And Talita Kove plays Mala, who is the other Bradley's wife. And she just gives some of the most amazing performances. And so every time I'm just sitting there and I'm either crying, laughing, wanting to throw something at somebody, or just in holding my breath. And there's so many, the actors on this show are so good. And then you have people like, Graham Ainui and Jacob, who have done shows just before, seem like they've done shows before, are very used to it. Like, I'm not talking about Jacob. Jacob's done so many shows. But Graham's done, I think, one show.
He won? Really?
Yeah, he's done the musical. And he only did Bottoms Up, and that was it.
That's it?
Yeah,
Damn,
but
right?
it feels like he's done a lot more shows.
Right, yeah.
And he plays just this wonderful, strong male character. This is the thing about Letters from Bradley, is that Letters from Bradley is a show that, although it talks about gender-based violence and follows the story of the perpetrator rather than the victim, it is really fair to men. And I say that knowing that with the conversation of gender-based violence, sometimes we can get into the territory of man-hating. And that's where men, I feel, get a bit defensive. And they get defensive in the wrong, stupid ways. But it's like, it's because people think that all men are these monsters. And people are like, oh, no. I hate to quote this, but like, oh, good men still exist, you know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, I do.
there are great men. They're good fathers. They're great fathers. They're great men that are doing a lot and are doing a lot for their families and have not hit their wives or their partners. And we want to celebrate that. But we also want to show men that do make that mistake. And there's two things. It's facing the consequences for it, but also getting better. I think as a society, we see men do that and we think that's natural, and it's not.
Right.
Violence is a choice that people make and then perpetuate, and it's never right and it's never justified. But then we try to justify it so that we let that man get away with doing that terrible thing emotionally, physically, to his wife, to his girlfriend, to his partner, to even his child. And we like to excuse it because we actually know that man. And those men that do it aren't terrible. They need help. They need help to deal with that violent tendencies. And it depends. There's different levels of it. Some things are inexcusable if a man is doing something wicked and vile. And violence of any form is inexcusable. But then you go to these cases of men that can't control their emotions, can't control their anger. And how do we help those men get better for their partners? And there are men that have done it. There are men that have actively put in the work to stop hitting their partner, to stop being emotionally abusive. And those people are unsung because there's so much shame towards that as well, but also a little bit of like, it's this weird thing of there's a certain stigma to talk about it, but there's a certain stigma to acknowledge it as well.
Oh,
And-
yeah, in that and a lot of other things in this
Yeah.
society.
And I think that what it is I didn't want to man hate with this show. It would have been so easy for me to man hate. I'm a moderate liberal. It would have been so easy. So easy. But how are we going to change how are we going to change the problem if the problem is being committed by, one gender that we then vilify? You know what I mean? The problem isn't men. The problem is violence.
Right. True.
The problem isn't violent men. It's men that are choosing violence. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so what's that conversation like? And that's why Letters from Bradley follows the perpetrator. Is it sunshine and rainbows? No. Is it giving an excuse to perpetrators? No. But it shows that everyone is human. And this show is to, firstly, protect victims, but help men get better to protect victims.
Right. At the source.
Yeah. It's the thing. It's like, what? Do you find a, what do you call it? Do you find a cure? What is it? It's an actual line in the show. Why am I forgetting this? What is it? Prevention's better than cure, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's that same principle. And not prevention in the sense of, I think we do a lot of prevention on the victim side.
Mm-hmm.
Like we do a lot of, this is, a way in which you can talk to your partner, counsel, and and we don't do a lot of prevention on preventing violence from happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like that isn't even an option. That isn't even on the table right now when people are looking at how to why are we. I think it's necessary that women need to protect themselves. I think it's necessary that there's women that need to take certain precautions because there are just horrible people. But then it's like, why are we asking women to take those precautions and accepting that boys will always be boys?
Ugh.
Right? Why are we doing that? And
because it's been a way of life for so long.
Yeah,
I think that it's just so ingrained into a society.
And then the minute we flip it,
that's impossible.
That's impossible. No, you can't do that.
It's too much work.
Exactly, and it isn't.
I mean, to be fair, it might start off as a lot of work, but it's never going to become easier if we don't take a step or two to start it all. Like, I'm acknowledging that it's a problem that's going to take a lot more time and effort to address and even see change in.
Yeah.
But it's never going to go anywhere if we don't do anything.
It's not. And this is the other thing. People will hear this conversation and go, oh, you're trying to, you're attacking masculinity. You want to emasculate men and make them passive. It's like no.
This conversation.
No. Yeah,
I think if anyone says that, to this conversation that if they've, been listening at all, and they say that, they're fucking stupid. No, that's just
you know
a
what
fact.
I mean. But you know what I mean.
If you didn't just hear everything you're saying, and that's your response to this, you're a fucking idiot. I'm sorry.
But you know what I mean. It's like, oh, you're masculine. I'm thinking of all the Andrew Tates in the world. And
the shot of him in jail with his eyebrows up.
But you know what I mean. Like, if there's a place, there is a place. It's not an attack on masculinity. It's just saying that men shouldn't be violent to their partners who they say they love.
And I think anyone who actually sees that as an attack on their masculinity, one, it's you. You're the problem. It's you. 2, this show is about you. And 3, get help.
Yeah. I genuinely think that.
Yeah.
But I think if people come to the show who are facing the problem of trying to deal with their own violent tendencies, there's space for you. There's space for you to sit there, and if you are convicted, get help. And not in like a there's something wrong with you way, but in just a like we want you to stop doing that wrong thing.
And I think that goes back to something you brought up in the pre-show that we've been having. It's a new thing that I started, where essentially we go live on Instagram like before the recording of every episode. But you brought up that this show is incredibly affecting in its themes and in its storytelling to the extent that you've actually got therapists
Yes.
coming to the show, so we're going to be outside
Yes.
ready to speak to people
Yes.
after people have watched
Yes.
the show.
So, as part of Arts Awareness Month, our sponsor, who I can't name yet, but I love you, sponsor.
They're great.
Just know that we love you. They're our naming rights sponsor. We love them. Yes. Sorry.
Fine.
I hope they watch this and be like, yay.
I hope they watch this too and share it,
yes.
you know, for the views.
So, our sponsor, sorry. Ooh. I did the same thing. Anyway,
Wow.
our sponsor has,
Yep.
I mean, in the concepting of Arts Awareness Month,
Conceptualization.
yeah, sure.
Sorry, I'm doing this thing where I correct a lot of people.
That's
lately.
okay. Correct me. It's you. You're the problem. It's you.
Okay.
But in the conceptualization, there you go, Godfrey, of the show, we really, really wanted to have avenues because people were walking out of the theater crying
For the last one.
for the last 2.
Okay, yeah.
And so we wanted to have ways in which people would be able to deal with the emotions that they feel. So there's 2 things. There's the panel discussions that we have after each matinee, Saturday matinees. So Saturday afternoon shows, for those who don't know what a matinee is.
They're great.
And so after the afternoon shows and before the night show on Saturday, you'll be able to sit in on that panel discussion after you've watched the show or before you get to watch the show.
Yes.
But also outside in the foyer area of the Mosby Arts Theatre and the garden area of the Mosby Arts Theatre will be booths set up for help in terms of those different issues. So we'll have a lot of different NGOs, partner NGOs with our major sponsor, our naming rights sponsor, come in to set up booths for information, for help if you are dealing with those problems. Like, what's a number to call if you feel like, you know, you want to get some grief counseling? Where do you go to get tested for HIV? Where do you go to get tested for TB? You know, lessons about safe sex. Also, just counseling on just different stuff. And we're very happy that we can structure that. And with our sponsor, that's something that we can partner with to get a lot of different people in to help. And like, putting up a show is one thing. It's the impact of it. And if somebody needs help, and I understand my social responsibility not only to tell those stories, but to help the people whose stories it is. And so that's why we have those avenues.
And okay, first of all, that's beautiful. And I think, again, quite unheard of for a show to be going to lengths like these, which is, I think, another reason why something like this is incredibly important. Because you're not only giving these people, well, okay, no, not to dive too deep into this, but you're not only giving these people, let's just say, these stories, allowing for representation, allowing education, but you're also allowing them this space that they can be in to... sorry, that was just my jug.
Yeah,
It does that a lot. I'm sorry. But you're also giving them this space for them to be or to learn more about these themes, to educate themselves. So it's, you know, it's doing the whole thing where you're not only doing the soft thing for combating something like ignorance, but you're also pushing it further by inviting people to come in with their feedback and actively educate them directly, giving them that opportunity to.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the whole, you bait them with a cool thing and then they come in and then it's just like, oh, wait, but then I have another question, And then you just give them everything that they need to know, which is someone who just, admires systems. That's really fucking cool.
Yeah. And, if people walk away strengthened in their belief or changed in their belief or shaken or affected, as long as they feel something, I'm fine with that. That's okay with me.
That's for all the shows?
Yeah, that's for all the shows.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to, I'm about to get emotional. Because Letters from Bradley was torture. It was torture for me to write. It was sitting down, and there were so many other things. Like, I didn't have a laptop at the time, and I was borrowing the laptop from my youngest theater child, Jerry. If you're listening, Jerry, I love you. And I was borrowing a laptop from him, trying to write it. But also, I was just triggering myself. And that's never happened with the other plays.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to delve any deeper, but there was just so much unaddressed trauma when it came to gender-based violence that I wasn't able to address. And then I started writing, and then I would trigger myself every time I'd finish a scene. And I'd go and I'd start crying, and I'd hide under a table, and I'd call up Christine Paypool and talk for hours about just trying to get it done. And then, it's a 2 hour 10 minute, 2 hour 20 minute play. Mm-hmm. That's how long it is. And then I gave it to the cast, and it felt like this big burden off my shoulder, but then now they're being tortured by it.
Damn.
And even with all the shows, it's just it's like the emotional if you come to the show and after you finish the show, and if you're crying, go up to one of the cast members and cry with them, because we're putting ourselves through a bit of emotional torture trying to play these parts. Mm-hmm. And it's really, Letters from Bradley just, it made me so drained that now I never, ever, ever want to do anything. After these 3 plays, I'm good. You want to talk about social commentary? Go to another artist. Go to another artist. Me less.
Can you do a romantic comedy next? And
oh my God, wait. Well, we're going to talk about what's next, right? Soon. But
sorry.
But it's
we'll jump into that.
But it's come with your belief. Come. And let's sit and let's talk about it. Let's sit and let's dissect it. Let's sit and let's go, okay, why do you think this way? Why do you value this? And how can we all get along? Mm-hmm. And I think with Letters from Bradley, we can all say that violence is something we shouldn't be tolerant of. And I think that we can all just sit and agree on that. But then when people start to justify violence in any form, it's now we start getting a bit into that conversation. And I think, as much as it was torture for me, I'm so happy now that I'm free and I can just be an actor in these shows. Mm-hmm. I mean, I am producing, but I can just be an actor in these shows and not have to write any more scathing dialogues about violence or any more heartbreaking things about losing children because a pregnant woman's been beaten up, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah. Get ready for those. Bring lots of tissues. Bring maybe a stress ball to squeeze on. Bring your family so that you can go and talk about, if you don't feel comfortable talking to anybody at the booth, so don't feel comfortable talking to anybody, after the show or during the panel discussion, bring your family so that you can go talk about it. Even if it's just that one person you trust, bring them, your friend, and then go and talk about it later and have that discussion for yourself. But honestly, be ready. because Arts Awareness Month is going to be the biggest thing for, I think, social justice in terms of providing awareness, but also the biggest thing in theatre. It's going to be the biggest thing in theatre. That's it. That's it. Arts Awareness, I'm calling it, Arts Awareness Month is the biggest thing in theatre for this year. And since, like, I don't know, like, name something that was really big in theatre.
The Revolution.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not biased just because I was the lead in it.
Yeah. Okay. It's going to be the biggest thing since that. There you go.
Okay, fair. No, I can name a couple. The last shows before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I sincerely believe you, honestly.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this.
Yeah.
With the amount of work that all of you guys are putting into this, I mean, how much media coverage is this thing getting?
Pretty good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
making sure. You know, because, I mean, I don't consider myself the media, but it's cool that I got to have this interview.
Yeah. And I think, you know, like, people, I say it's the biggest thing in theatre because I don't know anything like it. There's 3 shows, and it's not because I'm in it. There's 3 shows that are going back to back to back in a month of performances by, over 100 different artists. That's purely theatre. Purely theatre. It isn't a spectacle like dance theatre. This is theatre. It isn't, you know, like, I don't know. I can say, maybe that's my ignorance and I should do some research on it, but I have. When was the last time a PNG play was written?
I can't answer that because I really don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember. That wasn't written by you.
Yeah. And written and then performed in this scale. And so now it's like, it's a real wake up for an industry to go, we need more PNG stories, not only in film, but in theatre, because theatre is the basis of drama. And once we get theatre right, you know, like, theatre came first, right? So
in
once we,
every society?
yeah. So once we get theatre right, we'll get film right.
Absolutely. Everything will really just fall into place.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty much the structure, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. And I can't wait for it. I can't wait for March.
Yeah.
It's going to be insane.
Yes, it is.
Right.
It is.
But, oh gosh. Just one last thing that I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Wait, is Ziggy coming?
No.
Do you have transport back?
No.
Do you have a plan to get home?
No. It's okay. Continue.
Okay. Anyway, what I was going to ask you is just as a tail end to this, because right now we're about to hit the 2-hour mark.
Good. We'll go to
Good,
3
good.
hours. We'll go to 2 hours 30.
Okay, but it's 4. I'm just worried about you getting home. It's
No, it's
4:30.
fine. It's fine.
Okay, fine. Okay, what I wanted to ask is, how do you think people are going to react to this? And I guess as a separate but addition, like, how do you think they'll react to it compared to your other shows?
Letters from Bradley.
Yeah, and do you think that people already see, let's just say the people have already come seen your shows, do you think people already have this understanding of what you tend to deliver in terms of the kind of themes and the kinds of storytelling?
I think that a person that's been to my show, or audience members that have been to my show, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
It'll be okay. You know what I mean? Like, as
What's
in,
that?
like,
What's this?
like, just to take their hand and go, like, it'll be okay. Just tap on their hand.
Oh, I
like,
thought you were like clapping.
Yeah. No.
And I was like,
yeah.
it's going to
I
be
mean,
okay. As in
yeah,
you're
but-
cheering? Sorry.
No, I'm saying, like, it'll be okay.
Okay.
You know, like, I'll hold their hand. Don't worry. You've done this before. It's 2 hours, but it's worth it. And so that's to somebody who's, you know, watched my shows before. Those, including Mesoga, someone who's watched those shows before, you should be fine with Letters from Bradley. I think the newer audiences that are coming to watch any of the shows, that's what you should. Those are the people that I feel will be confronted. Those are the people I feel will have the most to say.
Okay.
Those are the people that I feel will try to disregard some of the stuff. But I think that we do want to expose more people to theatre, and these will be good coming to watch if you're a first time theater goer.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't dumb it down for you. I won't undersell it. You're going to cry, you're going to get angry, you're going to be confronted, and I don't see how an audience member can come and feel nothing after they leave.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's a terrifying thought. People who just don't feel anything. Why are you going to the theater anyway? But yes, I can't wait for that. And I hope you guys, all watching, listening, hope you're all hyped for March as much as both of us are. Yeah.
Yay.
All right. Now, just a question. It's like 4:30 right now.
What's next?
We could end it off with that because there are those other questions, the stuff about NFI and the whole.
No, let's not do that.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll go for another hour, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But
what is next?
no, let me ask it.
Oh, okay. Go
Stop
ahead.
asking my questions to yourself ahead of me. You're not letting me be a good host and interviewer.
Go ahead.
I know I'm rusty, but please let me. Okay. So, Andrew, like I just said, yeah, really super excited. But to be completely honest, this March just seems quite like it's done a number on you. It seems quite heavy. Moving forward after March, do you have plans, and what might they be? And can I be in one of your shows this time? And if it's not so depressing,
It's all comedies after this.
Yes.
It's all comedies and love stories.
Romantic comedy.
Can
Can I be the awkward friend
Yeah,
who
there's
like
there's a few
cheers on
rom-coms.
cheers on the main
So
guy
I can
or girl?
yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, but we don't have this many rom-coms with like women leads these days.
Yeah.
I really like the one with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. That was funny. I love that.
This is what I think.
It had very strong man written by like really woman energy.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah. I liked it. I liked it.
I mean, it was fun, but it was like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. This is what's next, and I actually have show titles, and
Of course you do.
I
Are they
can
all
say
3
that.
letters as well? 3 words as well?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, actually, no. One's 2 letters.
No, you're breaking it.
2 letters, 2 words.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes, you did.
But that's because everyone's coined those 3 plays as the Andrew trilogy, because I think they've forgotten that I've written Mesoga, but then Mesoga's not in that same world, right? I feel like
True.
the 3 of them happen in the same world, and it's there.
I can see. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So, and we have things that connect them, like Pearly Shells, which is a song that's in all 3 of the shows.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
But anyway,
Yeah. What's next?
yeah, I'm done writing anything political, anything dramatic. I think, there's drama in all the shows, and then one's coming up. But I'm tired. I'm like, I feel just a little bit like I've been the poster child for talking about serious stuff, and I'm a bit done with that now.
And I think that's fine,
Yeah.
honestly. I think you've done enough in this space.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you'll get back into it when you feel like doing more.
Yeah.
And
Or I
that's
think,
okay.
but I think it's like also doing those shows again is definitely in the future. I think especially Letters from Bradley and For My Father, and maybe he is Victor for World AIDS Day. That's something that I'm trying to see if that fits into the calendar.
And I think considering the cultural and, critical reception of each of these,
Yeah.
I mean, Letters from Bradley withholding, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it's going to do the
Yeah.
same thing. I can definitely see those
Yeah.
coming back at any point for
Yeah.
any sort of, not any reason, but
Yeah.
for a good enough reason, they can be,
Yeah.
I'm seeing them come back as
Yeah.
easily as they will be for March.
Yeah. So, big thanks to Focus Marketing Solutions for just flagshipping those shows and really just producing them. I'm ready now to move forward with my studio in partnership with Focus Marketing Solutions.
What's your studio?
My studio is Knack Studios. You can follow us
Knack
on
Studios.
Instagram.
Wait, I don't think I heard that. Can you say it again, but slowly and spell it?
Knack Studios.
Oh.
So KNACK
Okay.
Studios.
Oh, nice. Do you have like Instagram?
Yeah, I do have an Instagram.
Okay, that's cool.
You can follow at Knack
Okay.
Studios.
Nice. At Knack.
Yeah,
At Knack.
Knack. Yeah,
Knack
Knack.
Studios.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Knack Studios and Theatre Productions.
Like
and
K-N-A-K. C-K.
K-N-A-C-K.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So
All right,
I'm-
just making sure. I'm putting all those links in the description. Yep.
So I'm ready to move forward with NAC Studios in partnership with FMS because I love Christine. But also just do my own shows, smaller shows, just really just funny stuff. So the first show that I have, I'm just going to talk about the new shows.
Yeah, go ahead.
The first show that I have is, I'll just run through really quickly.
Yeah.
The first show that I have is called Mutual Colors, which is a friendship. It's just it's a nice, funny show. It does delve a bit into heavy topics, but it's more.
God.
No, but it's more.
Not
it's,
again.
It's like a hair of the dog situation. You know what I mean? You just
Does that mean alcohol?
yeah. Well, you know, like
Oh.
how they say, take the hair of the dog that bit you to.
I
try
really
and
don't know what
recover.
that means.
Okay,
I
it's
just heard it once said
okay.
in like the context
Okay,
of
that's fine.
alcohol and someone drinking
fine.
like whiskey.
Yeah, and so it's like, is that bad?
No, it's my calendar reminder telling me to begin my night routine.
Oh,
Because I
sorry.
go to sleep crazy early these days.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Like I start going to bed at like 6 o'clock.
So
Sorry.
we have
Continue.
a show. So the
Mutual
show
Colours, yeah.
Mutual Colors. It is just a friendship between I don't know.
Don't spoil it.
I know, but it's a friendship between. You know how you have like a savvy face taxi.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a friendship between this flamboyant gay man.
Can I be the flamboyant gay man? You already get the nose piercing.
I love it. It's a friendship between this flamboyant gay man and
I
his
didn't hear
taxi
a no.
driver. Yeah, no, you didn't hear no. We're doing auditions, and it's just it's a 2-man show. It's really
Yes!
small. Yeah, it's really
I
small.
love 2-man shows.
But it's
those
also
are fun.
really just intimate. It's intimate in terms of the friendships, and I think it's still left wing, right wing, all that stuff. But it's really just about two people just being friends and finding funny situations that they get in. Sometimes serious situations. I mean, of course, being a gay man in this country is death. But yeah, and so it's
True.
just, it's really just about how they become friends, how they round for a little, and it's nice. I can't say anything about casting because we haven't done it yet. I'll be honest.
I'll audition this time
yes,
around.
and I think we'll actually have an audition because for the longest time I was like, oh, Ziggy and I will just do it and it'll be great. But it's okay. It's okay, Godfrey man. We'll do an audition.
No, I can see you doing that.
Yeah, okay.
That's his life anyway.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
So yeah, and so mutual.
Oh no, actually, I retract my audition. I want to see you guys do it.
Yeah.
I really do. I really do.
So there's
I
mutual
honestly would.
colors.
I'm just saying, yeah.
Yes. So there's mutual colors, which it's a really special show. I think it's a really nice and it's a fun show. It's just laughs and it's a feel good show. Even though there are some like funny moments and like weird, I think
Serious?
heavy moments.
Yeah,
Yeah,
heavy.
heavy moments. But it is a nice show.
In most funny things, there's a reason why.
There's a reason why.
You
Yeah.
bring in like the serious things, and there's a reason why you reverse that principle. In most serious things, there's a reason why you bring funny elements.
Yeah, exactly.
They exist for balance.
I mean, the amount of jokes in Here's Victor, For My Father, and Letters from Bradley, even it's funny. It's funny.
Yeah, they're there for the levity.
Yeah.
To like represent these characters having more than one dimension.
Yeah.
People just don't want to cry for an hour.
Yeah.
In spite of your shows.
Yeah.
Just relax.
So there's mutual colors, and then we have in September we're planning to do Mesoga again.
Nice. Yeah, I was wondering why that didn't come back for March.
Yeah.
Is there just not enough space in March?
Well, it's I don't think it really fits the bill of arts awareness. I think it's a really cultural show.
Okay,
Yeah,
makes
and I
sense.
think it.
I guess so.
But I think I really do want to update that script. I do want to touch it again, re-judge it.
Okay.
And yeah, that's going to be good. I also have a little horror coming in. It's
Okay,
called.
I want to be in that
Yeah.
one. Like, no, you have to
So
have
it's
me in
a-
that one.
it's a
I will audition.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you want me
This
to
is
do.
what I can say.
I have to be.
It's a show called I Hope That Haunts You. And what it
Love
is
Is it a revenge story?
no, and it's a collaboration between myself and Nadia Parascos. Well, Knack Studios and Dare to Create, which is myself and Nadia Parascos, of just really these scary PNG stories that we combine with dance theater. And so you have a narrator who's telling the scary PNG story, and then you have the dance that acts it out. And so, you know, like the sangumas and the spiritual beliefs that we have. But also there's of course, because it's me, a social justice aspect of talking about a social issue like gender-based violence, and a poet coming in to describe it as this monster, as we build the monster for you on stage, so that you can actually see like a artistic representation of what that issue would look like, and it in the form of a monster. Or
I love it. Oh,
And
that's going to
so-
be interesting. I don't know how I can
Yeah.
audition for that one, since
I mean, I think
I haven't danced in a while.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Right.
there's also, I mean, because it's all spoken, it's mostly spoken word poetry, because it's,
Oh,
you know,
right.
you're telling the scary stories. And so I think that'll be cool as well. Something like what happened
Ooh.
on your club night, at the Halloween club night.
Yeah.
Yeah, where we all told scary stories to the audience.
No, it was
It's the
only
same
it was
thing.
only Pilly.
Well, I think I did a dramatic monologue. I mean,
Okay, okay.
right?
Sorry, yeah. But no, I just
Wow, Godfrey man.
Wow, wait, no.
But you know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
just thought Pilly's was really good.
Yeah.
It was
And I
terrifying,
think
actually.
Gabe told a story as well.
I told a story.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I don't have scary stories in my back pocket.
Yeah. But you get what I mean.
I just have like life experiences.
But-
Oh, I got stabbed, you know.
I don't know why we laughed about that. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, when you can't cry about it, laugh at it,
Yeah.
right?
So yeah,
Yes.
it's me.
Hi.
I'm the problem.
It's me.
Anyway, so yeah.
No, like, so you got
yeah.
a lot of stuff.
So Hope That Haunts
come
You,
on.
and then the last show of this year, and then the next show of next year are both comedies. They're a bit sad too. But One Talks is a show that I'm writing that will be at the end of this year and around December. And it's basically, you know how people in the city, they go to the village for Christmas?
Yep.
Well, what if the village comes to you for Christmas?
Oh my god, this sounds like a 90s.
It is.
A 90s comedy.
It is.
I can see it now.
So all
Film
the
grain and all.
So all the One Talks from the village come to see this particular guy who lives in the city who hasn't gone back to the village for a while, and it's great.
Oh god, that sounds like me and my life.
It's a great show.
I'm scared that's gonna happen to me.
Yeah.
Oh god.
They should go. Our relatives should come and visit you, Godfrey.
Why me specifically?
I mean,
In my tiny, tiny house?
true. Yeah, the guy has a bigger house. You'd be great for that part, actually.
Which
That would
one?
be cool. The guy.
Oh
yeah,
god.
right.
Okay,
Anyway.
no, actually I liked it.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
that's-
That'll be really
That's
fun.
One Talks. By the way, if I see any of this around, I'll know. This is my IP and it's protected. So yeah, and I've already written these shows. So, and then the last one.
I can't snap. My fingers
Yeah.
are sweaty. Sorry.
And the last one is a musical that I'm working on with right?
Wow.
That I'm working on with Louis Henry.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Singer.
Yeah. Singer.
Producer. Wave Studio.
Yeah.
And we are working on a musical. We started writing that last year. And it really is a musical. It is a romantic musical, but I guess like every romance, it's derived out of tragedy. I'm sorry.
Does it have an awkward friend of the main character?
It has an awkward brother of the main character. Yeah. And so
It's me.
it's hi.
Sorry, continue.
And so what it is it's this really cool love story of a lady who's learning to fall in love again after her husband passes away. And so it's just it's that nice musical.
Oh.
There's great songs. We've already written most of the songs, and it's nice. So yeah, that's what's next for me with Knack Studios in partnership with Focus Marketing and in partnership with Dare to Create, and just on my own. Yeah.
Man, I love it. Oh, this is going to be an interesting year for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jesus, and it's only March. Sorry, it's only February. Dang. That's going to be interesting. But, oh gosh, I guess that brings us to the end of this episode. Hey, what do we talk about now? Are you just going to go home?
Yes.
Okay.
I need to call Ziggy, tell him to pick me up.
Yeah, please do. But,
And then Ziggy doesn't pick me up and I'm stuck here.
it's fine. I'll help you get home somewhere.
Oh, I love you.
Can walk down and maybe get food there.
Yay!
But, oh gosh, if I have money. But anyway, thank you, Andrew, for joining me for the revival of Not Culture.
Yeah!
Like, it's kind of freaking me out.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that you've
Yeah.
allowed me to revive Not Culture in some capacity.
I appreciate that, you're the person who did. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, you were one of the earlier people. I remember it's the 7th episode that we brought you on and we talked about
Yes.
Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yes!
What a damn good movie. I gotta see that again. It blew me away. That movie surprised me at how fucking fun it was. Gotta see it again. But thank you so much for coming along for this episode. Can't wait for March. Can't wait for all your other shows, which I promise I will audition for now. I know it's in the past that
He never auditions for anything. He doesn't.
I was incredibly busy, okay? Especially last year. And you'll understand why, because I'm actually making a thing that's going to be released very shortly.
A thing.
Explaining to everyone why I was so
Okay,
busy.
cool. Yep.
Yeah. But thank you so much.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll definitely want to have you on board later on to just talk about anything.
Yes.
Apparently we have like good chemistry, and my Instagram like live, they like us commenting on things.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we can talk about that.
Yay!
Yeah, indeed.
Indeed.
But thank you all for watching. This has been Not Culture, hosted,
What am I doing, sir?
recorded, produced, and edited, and filmed by me. I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.